What do you know about the autonomic nervous system? Autonomic nervous system. What are the divisions? We have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic divisions. As you see here in blue, which is the sympathetic division, while in red, as you see here, it is the parasympathetic division. Now, we have these two systems. What is the main function of that? Okay? What is the main function of the autonomic nervous system? As you know, general. I am talking about general. Your body is exposed to many changes, either in the external environment or internal environment. Okay? So we need a system which is adapting our body to these changes. Sometimes, as you see, there is more light. There is an increase in the intensity of light. Sometimes there is an increase in temperature, ambient temperature outside. So we have the system, which is the autonomic nervous system, which is adapting your body to these changes. Okay? We'll start with this example. Sometimes happens you have stress, you know that, okay? Reading, you have exams and so on. You are stressed by something. Or sometimes you are facing some dangerous situation, okay? So we have this example when we are facing a dangerous situation, to say, your body is reacting now. The reaction that we have, it is called fight or flight reaction, okay? So if you are seeing, for example, a dangerous object in front of you, either you will fight or flight away. So what happens? To fight or flight, you need the activity of your muscle. But these muscles are needing what? They are needing oxygen. Okay? So we are getting a lot of changes in our body to provide more oxygen to our muscles. One of these changes, as you see, there's an increase in the heart rate. Why we are increasing heart rate? To pump more blood, and we are delivering more oxygen to our tissues, as example. So we have delivered that more blood toward muscle, mainly. What happens in vessels that are muscle that are, what about the distribution of blood toward muscle is increased, okay? While we have other tissues, there's no need to increase the distribution of blood toward these tissues, like skin, for example, your gastrointestinal tract, your renal system. Are you needing these systems in that situation? No. So you are reducing blood flow toward some systems, but increasing blood flow toward muscle. Okay? So how we are increasing blood flow toward muscle? By vasodilation. You know what you mean by vasodilation. لو سمحتوا تسكروا. And how we are decreasing blood flow toward other tissues by vasoconstriction. So we can have vasoconstriction to some areas, while vasodilation to other areas. Depends on the function of that area if it's necessary for that reaction or not. To take this example here, pallor, what do you mean by pallor? The wide discoloration of the skin. Why we can have pallor when you are afraid of something or because of decreased blood flow to our skin in this case. Okay? So in this case we have redistribution of blood towards certain regions and by increase, but other regions by decrease. We are getting decrease of blood flow. In addition to other reaction called sweet. What do you mean by sweet? Okay. Now, what system is involved actually during fight or flight reaction? The sympathetic or the parasympathetic? The sympathetic. The sympathetic innervates sweating gland. Now we are increasing sweating, but why it is cold? You know, we have reduced blood toward that region by vasoconstriction. So we cannot heat that is sweet. So the sweet is cold. Okay, becomes cold, not heated. Dry mouth. You know, also we are decreasing salivation. We are decreasing blood flow toward salivary gland. Once we have less blood flow toward salivary gland, so we are reducing that and we are getting dry mouth.
ايش فائدة dry mouth لما يصير زي هيك لما الواحد يصير فيه هيك ايش بصير؟
It is only this is a reaction. Okay, the reaction of your body to shift that blood toward muscle and reduce blood toward other structures that are not needed. Okay. In addition, gauze pimpling. What's the gauze pimpling? So hair stand on heads and the skin. You know that the hair follicles, they are having smooth muscle cells which are called pilorector muscles. Once these are innervated, we are getting piloerection. Okay? So that happens also not small five sharras or that's the gauze pimpling. Okay? In addition, widely dilated pupils. You know, the pupils, what happens to your... So you would like to see all the details of the dangerous object. Okay? So you have a series of reactions that are taking place in the bodies. Again, what system is involved here? What division? The sympathetic division during fight or flight reaction. Now, yes? كده لازم نحكي 10 مرات الشغلة. Gauze pimpling, hair, stand on heads and the skin. Okay. ما بتسمع بشعر راسه وقف من الفوق. That's it. Yes. Yes. Pilorector muscle. We have activation of pilorector muscle and we are getting piloerection for hair follicles. Okay. Now, so we'll start with these divisions to understand how they are functioning and to know how these stuff are functioning. As you see in blue here, we have what is called the sympathetic division, while in red, the parasympathetic. The origin of sympathetic where? See? The spinal cord. Okay, so we have thoracolumbar regions from the spinal cord where we have the origin of the sympathetic. While the parasympathetic, as you see, we have some fibers originating in your brain there, and some fibers from the sacral region. So we are talking about craniosacral origin for the parasympathetic fibers. So for the sympathetic, what's the origin? Thoracolumbar. While for the parasympathetic, craniosacral origin. Now, the axis, that means from the origin until the effector cells, we have two neurons forming the axon, the axis. Okay, so the cell body of the first neuron here in sympathetic is located in thoracolumbar region. Now we have the axon of the first neuron synapsing with the cell body of the second neuron. Okay? The cell body of the second neuron is sympathetic. We have here some, they are located here at that chain of ganglia. We have near the spinal cord, we have a chain of ganglia. You know what we mean by ganglia? They are cell bodies of the second neuron. Okay, cell bodies of the second neuron. So that chain of ganglia here, it is called paravertebral. They are called paravertebral ganglia. So we have one at that side exactly near the spinal cord, near the vertebral column. So we have paravertebral ganglia, two chain of ganglia. And then from that chain you have the fiber of the second neuron going where? Toward organs that we have, toward our organs, okay, to change their activity. While for the sympathetic, the parasympathetic, as you see, you have that is the cell body of the first neuron, long axon going toward the organ, and at the organ, it is synapsing with the second neuron, okay? The fiber of the first neuron, it is called preganglionic fiber, before ganglion. The fiber of the second neuron, it is called postganglionic fiber. Now from that organization where we have short preganglionic fibers, in sympathetic or parasympathetic? In sympathetic. Where we have long preganglionic fibers in parasympathetic. So this is one of the differences that we have between the two systems from anatomical view. Now you have, as you see, synapsing with the second neuron at that chain of ganglia. But you are finding also some fibers passing that without synapse there, without synapse at that chain of ganglia. We have inside abdominal cavity, inside your abdominal cavity, we have 3 ganglia, solitary. What that means? Not paired. مش واحد في اليمين وواحد في الشمال. اوكي؟ أي ساعة المحاضرة تبلش لو سمحت. مرة ثانية ما تأخروا please. Okay. So we have inside abdominal cavity 3 solitary ganglia. That means not paired. مش واحد على اليمين وواحد على الشمال. We have one and one. One it is called celiac ganglion, superior mesenteric ganglion, and inferior mesenteric ganglion. So at that site we can have also the synapse between the first and the second. Celiac ganglion, superior mesenteric ganglion, and inferior mesenteric ganglion. 3 solitary ganglia, not paired, at the right side and left side. Only one. Okay? Now this is the second location where we have the synapse of the first neuron with the second neuron. You are finding also some fibers passing without synapse at that level, and to